Good afternoon and welcome to the HART Sapphire series for round 3, game 3 of round 3 up at the University of Sunshine Coast. I'm joined in commentary this afternoon by Zach von Hoff. Hi Zach,
Yes.
How are you going today?
Good afternoon, Simone. So the game started. Here we are with the Cougars v Thunder. Cougars centre pass.
So the Cougars are without two of their main starters today, Macy Gardner and Mia Stour, both at the AIS with the under-19 Australian squad. The Thunder equally have Sarafina Wolf missing today for the same reason. How do you think this game's going to go this afternoon, Zach?
Yeah, well, it's been an interesting first 2 rounds. Thunder with a win and a loss, and Cougars coming off a draw and a win. So I think both teams will be keen to get that second win on the board, and it'll just be interesting to see how the teams go without missing those some of those key players, I think. And we still have the addition of some of those Suncorp Super Netball players as well. So, yeah, both teams are finding it a bit different today.
Yeah, definitely. So we've got Tara Hinchcliffe back with her former club, the Cougars, today, and we've got Cara Cohen and Anna Jones both starting on the bench for the Thunder this afternoon, but on the team list, so we may expect to see them on the court this afternoon.
I see Ellie Bird is on for the University of Sunshine Coast down in the goal shooter as well again today. So she's had a few training sessions with the Thunder this week, so it'll be interesting to see what those connections are like with her today as well.
Absolutely. So the Thunder in possession here. They'll be wanting to score, given the current score being down 3-0. Great contest there by Bakewell Doran. Ellie Bird there for her first shot. Unfortunately, is unlucky. Cougars back in possession. So we've got young Ali McLeod starting in the centre for the Cougars today. She got a little bit of court time last week, but it's great to see her starting.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how she goes out there today. Thunder back in possession here, so looking to get it down court as quickly as possible.
Trying to get on the board for their first home game of the season.
A nice little crowd in here to watch their team at the University of the Sunshine Coast.
So who have we got in umpiring today, Zach?
So down this end we can see Claire Johnson, and then we've got Kelly Porter as well, and Brooke Quilter is reserving.
Excellent.
So Brooke and I just recently finished up on the Ruby game earlier on with the Cougars getting up over the Thunder.
It's been hard at work this afternoon up at the sunny coast, Zach.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I'm glad to have you here with me.
Earning my Sunday
Yeah.
afternoon, so it's good to sit down finally. So quite warm out there on court, I found too. So not a whole lot of airflow. So I think the players definitely felt it. So interesting to see if that affects anyone as well.
Definitely, that was a great. Speaking of flow, that was great flow by the Thunder in that last passage.
We can see those connections between Latu Mifau and Bird kind of opening up a bit, which is good to see.
It's amazing what a week's training does. Similarly, there, Holland and Hunt.
Yeah, they've had some nice connection, Holland and Hunt, over their first couple of games. I know the shooting circle got changed up a bit, or the Cougars have been changing up their shooting circle quite a bit. So it'll be interesting to see, I guess, whether these two will play out the game today.
I think they've got luxury of having Mia Stour on the usual list. With Stour, Holland and Hunt, all very capable goalers and all with lots of experience. Today, as we said, missing Stour, but I think we've got young Martina Rikas on the bench for the Cougars, so they've still got a really good option if they need to go to her.
Yeah, and she's just played a full game in the Ruby series as well and had a great game in shooter. So she'll be very warm. Nice quick ball there by the Cougars. It's kind of a, I guess, a characteristic of the Cougars' play, releasing that ball really quickly and quick down the court.
Definitely.
Offensive contact there by Hunt.
So I agree, when the Cougars have got great flow and able to let the ball go, that's when they're at their best. I think the Thunder, when we saw them last week, have patches of that. They equally showed that they can match it.
A couple of offensive contacts happening here, so players probably just adjusting to the umpiring. Always happens early on, I know. Trying to work out where the umpire's 3 feet are, what they're going to call for contact.
So contact call there by Gunther. I think Gunther's just come onto the court for Ash Unai. Great touch and regain there by the Thunder, but unfortunately called out. So as we know, we've got rolling subs in the Sapphire series, so players can come on at any time and don't need to call a timeout. So it looks like the Thunder have used that early in the match by taking off their captain Ash Unai and bringing on Nicole Gunther into the wing defence position.
Yeah, very early change there. So she's straight onto the bike. So
hopefully it's not for injury.
Yeah.
It's just for a tactical to try and change it up a bit, being down by 5 early in this first quarter.
Also, they've got the timeouts available for them as well. So
is it 1 tactical timeout per half?
Yes,
for each team?
per half. So I'm sure Thunder won't want to use that too early, but it's been quite a start by the Cougars here.
And the Cougars are asserting their dominance early. Still a long way to go in the match, so we'll see what the Thunder can do.
Another turnover there, so great defensive pressure just over the transverse line by the Cougars. the wing defense, wing attack trying to call a timeout there by the looks of things, but unfortunately can only be taken before a centre pass. And there we go.
There you go, good spot, Zach. What do you think the instruction will be to the Thunder, given they're down by 8 in this first half of the first half of the first quarter?
Well, I think they're probably paying a little bit too much respect to the defence end of the Cougars at this stage. I think they just have to settle, trust their what they've done at training, release those balls, because they've got Ellie Bird there. So, I mean, if they release it into her, quick passes, then there's no reason why they can't be scoring a few goals and getting back this lead.
Yeah, definitely. I think they've more than had their opportunities, which would be a positive sign, but they absolutely need to make the most of them. And when you've got Ellie Bird and Abby Miafalatu there should be no reason why you can't get them the ball.
Absolutely, hugely capable shooters. So, and the defence, they as you said, they've got a couple of turnovers, so they just need to capitalise on those. And it's probably just an opportunity to settle. It's, 7.5 minutes halfway through the first quarter, so shaking out a few of those cobwebs and nerves. And
definitely. The Cougars, on the other hand, looking very focused. They won't want their flow to be disrupted coming out of this timeout, so we'll see what happens in this next play.
Oh, great little tip there by Binion Hunt to herself. And we get the turnover.
Turnover there. So let's see if they can take this one to goal, because they really do need to convert, especially with the next centre pass. They could get 2 goals here in this little patch.
The defensive pressure in the mid-court by the Cougars is well set up, so they're struggling to penetrate.
Definitely. Thunder are making it easier as well by only having really one option to the ball.
So they have brought Cara Cohen on, obviously looking to get a little bit more movement into that circle, the Thunder.
Good little tip there by Mifulatu. Unable to get back possession though, but slow it down just a little bit. Thunder really struggling for options. Really good take there by Kathleen. It's a better build up. Great shot there by Mifulatu.
And it's a Thunder
Centre
pass. So already we've seen Kara Cohen come out of the circle a couple of times, so obviously relieving some of that pressure for the shooters and allowing Abigail Latu-Mifau to get into the circle. Oh, dribbling down. Great retrieval.
I think she was about to walk away, but luckily she stayed and was able to regather her own rebound.
Quick down court by the Cougars.
Really smart there by Riley Holland. She's had a great season so far. Playing out on the A&L court this year for the Queensland Fusion. Oh, they're coach killers, aren't they?
Yeah, breaking call. Particularly when they just had a bit of a roll after the timeout.
Really nice pass there by Binny and Hunt into Riley. He was on a great hold, able to convert. Thunder's defenders are doing a good job holding the ball up. It's not coming in as fast as it was earlier on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Catling and Allen have had quite a good start to the season. I watched them in their first game and they get a lot of hand on ball, and as we see, Latu-Mifau converts one of their turnovers, which is excellent.
Much better.
Yeah, great centre pass set up there.
Much more direct, only 3 passes.
That's what we need to see a bit more from the Thunder.
Very capable of it. Great hands over there by Sienna Allen. So the Thunder are getting opportunities, but unfortunately they're giving them back with some unforced errors. Defenders are doing a really good job in the circle, given the experience and calibre on who they're up against. With Hunt and Holland been playing together for many years and both been on the A&L court this year.
Cougars get the ball again, so swing across court to Dyer, and a nice double play there by Binny and Hunt. But unable to convert.
Gallant effort there by Nicole Gunther, but unfortunately it fell in the hands of Chanel Dyer, another experienced campaigner for the Cougars.
There's been a few breaks and stepping early on in this game. You see great defensive pressure there in the midcourt once again by the Cougars.
Nice shot there by Mifulatu. Nice little dodge there by Josie Hungerford. Keeper position there on the top of the circle, which is always much harder to defend. I think the Thunder can string together a few of those plays. They'll more than bring themselves back in the game. The
Absolutely.
Cougs, on the other hand, are doing a really good job at just maintaining possession and getting it to goal every time they have the ball. Great ball there by Karakani.
Yeah, the moving circle allows that space for Latumifa to make a strong drive into the circle. Nice swing pass and baseline drive by Holland.
Both teams have the luxury of their shooters can either hold or move, the ones that are currently on the court, which allows variety and it keeps the defenders guessing all of the time. So the Thunder have done a good job to bring it back a little bit, given what they were down earlier.
Yeah, just 6 goals in it, 30 seconds to go. So Cougars look like they'll be running away with the bonus point this quarter.
So it's 2 points, I believe, for winning a quarter.
Yeah, I think that's right. And the buzzer beating Karakonen there. So
17-10 quarter to the Cougars. They did start really well. They probably were the better of the teams in that quarter overall. They did really well when they were in possession. They were quite clinical and just got it to the goal, got it to the circle, got it to Holland and Hunt, who were able to put it to goal.
Thunder definitely showed their ability though, and they are quite capable of getting that ball down. It's just a matter of stringing a few centre passes together and making sure they convert those intercepts when they come. But it's the Cougar defence in that mid-court that's making it really, really tough for the Thunder to get down into their goal end at this point in time.
So we're at quarter time break here up at the University of the Sunshine Coast between the Thunder and the Cougars. Cougars are currently in the lead 17-10. What do you think the instructions will be in the each camp at the moment, Zach? The Cougars will be pretty happy with what they put out?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they'll maintain that defensive pressure, and then it's just about making sure they convert those goals and let that ball go nice and early into that circle. As I said earlier, it's one of the qualities of their play, so it's just about sometimes maintaining that throughout the game when the defensive pressure starts heating up from the opposition.
Yeah, the Thunder, on the other hand, I think, like we said in the first quarter, they've had their opportunities, so I'm sure the instruction will be to, make sure that they're making the most of those opportunities, that they've got more than one option to the ball, and that they're getting it into the hands of their very capable shooters.
So it looks like Hinchcliffe has come on as centre, replacing McLeod, who's gone into wing defence, and Ash Uni has returned to the court for the Thunder.
Great take there by Biddy and Hunt.
Yeah, nice and strong in the air.
Great movement there by Riley Holland. Thunder in possession now. Looks like they've kept their front line on. Similar to what they ended with in the end of that first quarter. So Maddie Hinchcliffe, usually a wing defender, but definitely is capable of playing at that centre. Just gives the Cougars a different dimension. They're having a bit of a taller centre running through the middle.
Yeah, absolutely. And as a defensive centre, like, she can hold up that mid-court very well. Nice round the body there by Bakewell-Doran.
So we see Queensland Firebird Tara Hinchcliffe there on shot. All of the Suncorp Super Netball players that aren't involved in World Cup have returned to their clubs as part of the HART Sapphire series this year. So we have both a Lightning and a Firebird on the court at the moment, which is great for the competition, great for the other athletes that are on court with them.
Yeah, it must be quite familiar for Hinchcliffe. She's defensively playing on Latu Mifau as well, who has been training with the Firebirds and had a few births as well. So it's quite an interesting circle down there. A nice turnover by the Thunder.
Yeah, great get there. Strong contest there by McLeod.
Showing a bit of patience there, the Thunder, just in passing around the circle and not trying to force anything into the circle, which is good to see.
Definitely.
I guess they know the quality of the defensive pressure by Hinchcliffe, and as we mentioned her, she comes around for a great little tip and intercept. She reads the play so well, and she uses that front space very well, Hinchcliffe, to see where their feeders are throwing that ball into the shooter.
Yeah, definitely.
Both Hinchcliffe sisters, I think, use their feet very well, and they're such great readers of the play.
I think a lot of the times they come through. So on that last one, Tara just kept coming through on it, back to self to have a go, and was rewarded with the ball. It's a nice read by Catling there, but wasn't able to tip it.
So Cougars having a little run again, so just and another turnover.
Like you said, there is quite a decent crowd here at the University of Sunshine Coast, and when the Thunder have put together a few goals, we've definitely heard them, so they'll be wanting to do that a little bit more so they can bring the crowd into the game for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it'd be nice for them to have a nice, close, competitive game up here for their first home game.
We haven't seen any more rolling subs for either team, have we, since that first one early in the match?
Been quite settled so far in this quarter. Cougars having a run here of 4 goals, so Thunder will need to put a stop to that. Bit of a throw up and a hope there by Latu Mifau there, but good take by. And nice picking up on the scraps there for Catling.
Yeah, Catling's tried a few, and she was rewarded that time when she backed herself and came through.
I think the defenders have been, Catling and Uni have been much better in attacking down the court as well, just releasing the pressure in that mid-court a little better as well. They don't seem to be held up as much in the centre court as they were in the first quarter. And again, we see some nice patient build-up into the Thunder circle. It's interesting, we talked about how the Cougars like to release that ball in the first second, but Thunder are very willing to hold it for the 3 seconds that they're allotted.
Definitely.
Waiting for their plays to open up.
Definitely. That was a great tip again by Catling. She's getting herself in there and putting herself in the contest, and she's starting to be rewarded for that, for those efforts. Hopefully her shooters, and she does, reward her with a goal. Well done to Mia Fowlachi there.
Unable to capitalise, but she gets the contact call. So this will be a little 4-goal turnaround if this gets sunk, which it does. So brings it back to within 5 here for the Thunder.
Yeah, it was out to 10 just a little bit ago, but now they've been able to bring it back, which is great. Cougars, on the other hand, will be wanting to try and widen that gap as much as they can.
So this moving circle seems to have paid off for them, and they definitely have settled into a bit more of a rhythm down here, the Thunder, which is good to see.
Yeah, they're starting to find Karakonen much easier now.
I think Litherland and Hungerford do find the top of the circle quite well, as also using a few different plays and dodges to just holding time to retrieve a ball.
Thunder back in possession. Oh.
Great hands over pressure by Bakewell Durham, but picked up. We have had a change in wing defence once again by the Thunder.
It looks like Nicole Gunther's come back on in place of Ash Unai.
Yeah, so interesting that Ash Uni hasn't had a whole lot of game time there. So I wonder if potentially she is just nursing a little bit of an injury and maybe just trying to not overplay every quarter, or whether this is a tactical decision by the bench.
It's out to... Brought it back to 5 now, the Thunder have done a really good job.
Holland very good at staying in front of her defenders and pulling an easy obstruction call there. Well, both teams looking for a quick injury turn change.
So Tara Kinship's come out of keeper onto goal, out to goal defence, and Remy Camo has gone into goalkeeper.
Not quite sure who the wing attack is for the Sunshine University of Sunshine Coast is at the moment. O'Connell?
Yeah, Ainsley O'Connell. So I think, as we noted, they were starting to find and connect with Kara quite easily, the Thunder. So the Cougars have decided to change it up and change up their defence end a little bit.
Yeah, so Tara Hinchcliffe now on Martimi foul. And Camo gets rewarded with the ball. Cougars have the luxury of having a very versatile bench.
Yes.
And calling on players that have a great depth.
Replay call there on Vinny and Hunt, so the Thunder back in possession.
Hinchcliffe coming out for the intercept, not quite able to get the turnover. A nice look in to Cara Cohen and seeing the defender's eyes down. So Thunder just being able to maintain this 5-goal lead now with the turnover.
Great picking up of the crumbs there by Chanel Dyer. Everyone was having a go at it, but she came through and was able to rob it.
Just an overthrown ball there.
So let's the Cougars off the hook a little bit. A great hold there and pass by Riley Holland. Able to finish there with the shot.
And the Cougars just calling a tactical timeout. That brings it out to a 7-goal difference. So that has evened up the quarter score. So Cougars probably looking to make sure that they come away with this quarter, I believe. I mean, they haven't called a tactical timeout yet. So it's a great opportunity for them to regroup and make sure that they run away with the bonus point in this quarter as well.
Lightning, on the other hand, will be really happy that they are in the mix for this quarter. They've done a great job defensively, but I think they were doing that in the first quarter. The difference now is that they were able to take it to goal and are able to apply some of that scoreboard pressure now, which is what the score indicates. Only down by 7 with still another half to go.
So what do you think the key things that it will be said by the coaches here at the moment?
I think the Cougars will be wanting to shut down and apply a lot more of that defensive pressure that you talked about in that first quarter. Yeah. I think the switch with Maddie Hinchcliffe going into centre, whilst it provided a great option in attack, it probably just took a little bit away of their defensive punch down in the back line, and we see that they've swapped back. With Abby, I thought Ali McLeod did a really good job, but it's not normally her position, particularly when compared to someone like Maddie. I think the difference probably was that the Lightning were able to get, like we said, more ball and get it to goal.
So they'll definitely be trying to make sure that happens and is maintained.
I think Ainsley Connell's done a good job when she's come into the court. She's not done anything flashy, but she's made sure that she's been on offer for the ball. I think she's realised her job is to get it to those two, and they'll put it in the goal for her.
Yeah, absolutely.
And her
Very
team.
experienced shooters. So, oh, great footwork by Diane, managing to stay on side. Great coming through. Excellent vision.
Well read there by Tara Hinchcliffe. So bread and butter, those ones.
Unable to convert. Bit of a long shot there by Holland for what she's probably used to. Not her range.
Probably thought about it too much.
Yeah, there was a couple of
she looked surpassed.
fakes.
Yeah. So Lightning have done a really good job here. They want to take this one to goal.
Yeah, I was just going to say excellent patience in their build-up.
Great hold there by Tara Hinchcliffe, but equally great shot by Abby Mufalatu.
Well done by the umpire, acknowledging that her mistake. Just saw McLeod come have the fall.
Probably still thought McLeod was
playing
wing defence.
Yeah, that's right. So it's always good to see where an umpire acknowledges that they've made the mistake and it's just an easy play on.
Definitely.
It is very muggy down there today. Of course, there's been lots of rain happenings this weekend, and Queensland State Age at the Pine Rivers this weekend, and they're playing on outdoor courts, and lots of photos of players being drenched out there. So,
yes, a big shout out to everyone down at State Age. Fantastic carnival for our sport. Many of us have been there and done that in the rain, hail and shine. But
yeah, that's where these players come from eventually. That's where they start and they can end up here. So
absolutely.
Another 2 days of that carnival. So let's hope for some warm weather. Great work by Dyer to take the pass in the centre third.
You're realising that she was going to be caught offside.
Of course, you must take the ball in fully within the centre third, not astride the transverse line. So sending the score out to 8. If they score here, they deny the Cougars of the bonus point. And so that's a 34-27 half-time score. And it's an equal second quarter score, so no bonus point going to any team.
Excellent. So the Thunder will be really happy with that quarter. I think they showed their potential, definitely, their ability to win the ball back and take it to, down to goal. The Cougars, on the other hand, probably a little bit disappointed with the way they probably didn't necessarily use their opportunities as well as they did in that first quarter. However, in saying that, credit has to go to the Thunder defence. I think they read what was happening and were able to disrupt and create some turnovers.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, Liz White is a very experienced coach and she's loves to get the best from her players, so she won't be happy with only a draw in that second quarter. And potentially that defensive pressure was lacking in the centre third that we didn't see in the first quarter, but a credit to the Thunder for their ability to move that ball and have that patient play and not give away as many turnovers from that first quarter. Definitely.
So these players across both teams and across the competition are up for the Katie Walker Sapphire this year, sponsored by Legasix Jewelers. A fantastic award, a fantastic recognition of Katie Walker, who's still playing in the league for the Carina Leagues Club, the Tigers. What have you seen over the last few weeks in your commentary on umpiring? Do you think there are a lot of players putting their hands up for that award this season?
Yeah, definitely. It's always hard to kind of think who. I guess you always go straight to the goaling end. I play defence personally.
Oh, okay, right. I was going to say, I thought you were a goaler.
And we all like seeing those intercepts and turnovers when the defenders get them or coming out of the circle and getting a turnover. So Yeah, and there's lots of very quality defence throughout these teams. But in saying that, it's the goal shooters and attacks jobs to get those balls through the hoop, and that's what's get the goals sometimes. So, yeah. What about you?
Yeah, look, I think one of the most exciting things of what I've seen so far is that we've got a real mix of our, your up and coming talented athletes within Queensland, as well as lots of experienced campaigners like Katie Walker. So I think lots of them are putting up their hand, and they've got lots of different qualities. So it'll be great to see at the end of the season who's eventually awarded with that award. But there are lots of contenders even earlier on this early on in the season.
I think particularly over this little 4-week period where our players are playing up against some of the Suncorp Super Netball players and training partners, it's a good opportunity to see how some of the younger players are going up against those players, and they're definitely showing their worth.
Excellent. So while the teams are having their halftime chats, we might go to a break as well, and we'll come back for the second half in a few minutes. So we're coming back to the second half now for the USC Thunder versus the Brisbane North Cougars. Currently the Cougars are in front 34-27. How we saw a great quarter that last one, didn't we, Zach, by the Thunder?
Yeah, absolutely, being able to maintain that 7-goal difference. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the second half. We can see some stats here. So, and I think that's that big one, that centre pass conversion, 81% by the Cougars. Massive. The turnovers are quite similar. Yep. So it's about that getting that centre pass through the ring. So.
Definitely. The Thunder actually showed that they had stronger shooting percentage. So when they've got the ball, they're able to put it to goal. They just probably don't have it enough at the moment.
Well, three very experienced shooters on court with the Thunder. So we see a change there in the defence lineup for the Thunder. Annika Lee-Jones coming on. I guess maybe giving a little bit of height into that circle.
Yeah, definitely. Annika Lee-Jones is part of the Lightning team list. We saw Sienna Allen on before, who's a training partner for the Lightning, a South Australian junior, who did a great job, I thought, in that first half. So yeah, we'll see what Lee-Jones can do in this next quarter.
Cougars have maintained their lineup. So it's just that one change. O'Connell remains on also for the Thunder.
Nice touch there by Maddie Hinchcliffe. Tried to suck the umpire into thinking that it was a thunder tip, but she would have no of it.
Always happens, running away as if I didn't do anything.
Great shot there by Mia Fowler too.
So back within 5 and a turnover. Great hands there by Litherland.
So Thunder have started this quarter quite well. It's only early, but they can more than bridge the gap if they're able to put some of these opportunities to goal.
Just overcooked that pass there a little bit. Litherland, she could see that Cohen was on the hold. Great.
Offensive turnover
Yeah.
there. It's always great to see your attackers win the ball back.
Well, I guess Cohen felt the pressure after dropping the ball, so it's the goal too.
So the Thunder are only down by 4 now. They've started this quarter similar to the way that they finished the last quarter. Great feed there by Connell into Karakonen.
It's only 3 goals now, so what do you think the difference has been out of this, the halftime break for the Thunder?
Yeah, look, I think they've
See
shown...
another turnover there, so...
Yeah, well, I think we talked about possession coming into this quarter and that the Cougars had done a better job at possession. However, early in this quarter, the Cougars have turned it over a few times. However, Chanel Dye's done a great job to win that back. It's the captain's intercept there, knowing that her team were in a little bit of trouble, but...
Much required, their first goal of the quarter there. 4 minutes in.
Great feed there, and equally great hold there by Cara Cronin.
Great vision down by Binny and Hunt, seeing Riley Holland is all alone in the shooting circle. Cougars probably getting called a little bit just over that transverse line in this quarter. And of course, not wholly within call.
Yeah, they made lots of unforced errors in this first little bit. They've allowed the Thunder to come back into the game.
And draws it within 2 and a Thunder centre pass. So, another, geez, unforced errors at the moment. Killing both teams.
Great get there from Ashley Unai. Captain of the Thunder, training partner for the Lightning.
Bit of miscommunication here. All girls on the same side of the court. Just need to go back to the transverse line to relieve the pressure, but a long pass, and the crowd's not happy with that call. Neither is the coach.
The umpire was in great position though. She was right in front.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just that last little hand that comes in by players that kind of knocks the ball out, and the umpire's normally in the best position to see it. Oh, excellent work by Litherland.
Oh, well done.
And chasing the ball.
Chloe Litherland.
As you were saying, it's about following that ball.
Great passage of play there by the Thunder, and they've more than brought the crowd back into the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's their centre pass. If they can convert this one, then it's only one, which has probably been the closest that they've been.
All game, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, because the Cougars got out to a flying start, so it will be the closest this game has been since the beginning. So 1 goal in it. Rolling sod coming on for the Cougars. Bakewell Doran coming on for Camo. Another turnover, so...
Yeah, another unforced error. Oh. And back the other way. Cougars have been lucky when they've turned the ball over in this, either off the centre pass or off the first ball. They've been able to win it back, which...
And another little tip into a turnover for
the Thunder.
A bit like ping pong at the moment.
Yeah.
Unsure who's got the ball, which way it's going. Lots of tips. Lots of ball bounces. I think the Thunder are probably running on a bit of adrenaline and the Cougars doing everything to slow it up. So a few little errors coming into the game. So it'll be interesting to see who just settles here in the second 7 minutes of this quarter.
I think that was an intended pass by Paolati.
Very deceptive
and
little...
if it wasn't, she's going to say it was.
Absolutely. So 1 goal in it. Cougars centre.
Great use of the triangle swing there.
I think the defensive pressure and that height with Annika Lee-Jones in the circle has been much stronger for the Thunder this quarter. And that's probably why the Cougars have had to swing the ball around much more.
Yeah, definitely.
An excellent baseline drive by Cohen. And
Held ball there, the Cougars. So probably just not having those connections and those options that they had earlier on in the game. However, credit to the Thunder defenders, they're applying lots of pressure.
yeah, and as I mentioned earlier on, like one of the qualities of the Cougars play is to let that release that ball go, and I think it just hasn't happened. I think they've started to doubt their passes, and if those few unforced errors and turnovers, and we see a timeout called, so they'll be definitely wanting to come together and talk about cleaning it up, I think, because it's those errors that have really let them down in that first part of that quarter, and then the doubt that goes into the feeders' minds of releasing those balls into their shooting end.
Yes, definitely. Thunder, on the other hand, they'll be really happy with where they are at the game. Obviously, scores are locked, and given the way that they started, and we're down by 10 at one stage earlier on in this game, they've done a great job to bring it back and to stay composed and to really make the most of the opportunities that they've had. So,
yeah, I think they've done a great job of not panicking. You know, sometimes when it gets out to 7 or 10 and against a quality side like the Cougars, I think there can be times where teams get overawed by what they have to do, but you know, credit to the Thunder, they've got the experience in their team and they knew they could bring it back. And you know, Gary Passion is a very seasoned coach, so
definitely. See lots of, it's interesting to see the much upbeat huddle from the Thunder.
Yeah, it was an exciting little stamp of the feet there.
Cougars a little bit more focused.
So Hinchliffe has come back into centre and they've placed Viv Fitzpatrick into the wing defence role. So Viv Fitzpatrick is the captain of the Ruby side who just defeated the Thunder. So
yeah,
and it's resulted in a bit of a turnover there straight away.
Yes, Viv Fitzpatrick was part of the Queensland 19 under team this year, so she definitely has lots of great attributes and will more than be able to handle her time out here on court this afternoon with the Cougars. I think the Cougars showing that they do just want to tighten up that defensive end a little bit. Saying that, it's probably been this front line that hasn't been able to
get the goals in the end.
maximise their opportunities and throw the ball around, away a little bit.
So the contact call just releasing the pressure there, but the defence end by the Thunder making it very difficult at the moment. So bit of a 2-on-1 here in the circle, so opportunity for the Thunder to get under the post. It's always tough for a defender to kind of hedge their bets and think about what's going to happen when you've got two attackers.
Definitely. It was Tara Hinchcliffe though, so I think it does even it up a little bit. But she wasn't able to win the ball back on that occasion.
Great hands round by Annika Lee-Jones there. Just being pulled for the obstruction. And Sienna Allen is back on court there for the Thunder also.
Yes, that'll be a really tall defensive line for the Thunder. Not a bad switch. I think Catling did a really good job, but that just adds another thing to think about now for the Cougars front line.
So there's been a lot more freedom down here in the Thunder attack line this quarter. So what do you think that's been put down to?
Look, I think they've definitely been able to find their connection. The patience that you talked about, I think, has definitely worked in their benefit, especially as they've been able to find each other a little bit more. I think earlier on in the game when their patience at times was more influenced by the fact they had limited options rather than they were looking at a variety of options. Now that they've got a few more options to the ball, they're much more considered, I think, in when they offload it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Scores are even again.
And it's a Thunder centre pass. It's an opportunity for Thunder to take the lead. This is handling error there by O'Connell. The defence really trying to get the turnover.
Definitely. They're backing themselves and willing to come on the contest.
This defensive pressure by Lee-Jones and Allen has been fantastic to see. They're getting lots of tips and hands in.
Gideon Hunt probably just needs to go to the post there.
Yeah.
Great shot there by Hunt.
Every time you pass it around the circle, it's an opportunity for those defenders to get that hand in and grab a turnover. So every time a shooter just goes to post, it's quality. Great.
Chloe Lillardon's great contest and chase.
Lots of excitement here at the moment with the Thunder getting lots of tips on ball and bringing the crowd into the game.
Definitely. I think they're giving their crowd a game that they were wanting.
Oh, just persistent offside being called there by the umpire, giving a caution to Litherland.
However, the persistence there by those Thunder defenders, including their centre court defenders, I think we're able to create that turnover. They were just in everything and applied so much pressure to the Cougars that in the end they threw the ball away.
Both teams seeking opportunities to come out and grab some intercepts, tips and touches and turnovers here. So making for a very interesting last few minutes.
The last quarter.
Yeah, absolutely. It's taking an opportunity to mop up. Excellent contest by both players there.
So they have an opportunity to finish this quarter in the lead if they can get this one to goal. They've still got plenty of time, 15 seconds.
They've definitely won the quarter, so it's just about whether they can take the game. Not wanting to shoot there, using the clock. And they move into the lead for the first time. Cougars will be wanting to get that ball down as quickly as possible. Contact call, so an opportunity to tie the game up. Thunder just slowly walking back, and that brings the siren to three-quarter time with a drawn game.
Great. It definitely didn't look like that at the beginning of the game.
No, absolutely not. So Thunder take away the quarter, and it sets up a very interesting
last quarter.
So as you can see, the quarter breakdown there. So essentially
17 looks to be the lucky number. So the Cougars took the first quarter 17-10, and then they were equal. It was equal in the second quarter, and then the Thunder replied with the 17-10 quarter in this third quarter. So it makes for a really interesting final quarter. What do you think the Cougars need to do in this last quarter?
Oh, look, I think it's partly just going back to the game plan that they probably started with, and it's releasing that ball and being confident to send it into their shooters, and the shooters have to turn and shoot, because I think, you know, it's been a great defensive pressure, particularly in that third quarter by the Thunder. Allen and Anna Jones having a huge impact for their team, but these shooters are very capable, so there's no reason why they can't just turn and go to post and sink those goals, because yeah, I think it's just been lacking down in that attack end particularly.
Yeah, definitely.
I think the turnovers will come for the Cougars, so it's just about the attack end converting.
Definitely. So we've got the final quarter now of the Thunder vs Cougars game, with all tied up at 44-all, Zach.
Yeah, very exciting. It's the closest game we've had today here on the Sapphire series, so strap in. It's going to be a very exciting last quarter. So an interesting change here by the Cougars. We see Bakewell Doran going into goal defense, wing defence. Hinchcliffe coming out to goal defence. So
Cougars probably wanting to stop the ball before it gets down to Cara Conan.
Yeah, she's
definitely come into the game.
They've definitely gone for the defensive lineup with Hinchcliffe also in centre, Maddie Hinchcliffe, that is.
Great touch there by Tara Hinchcliffe. I mean, it seems obvious, but it's the team that's going to be able to capitalise by the turnovers that the defensive lines create, I think, is going to take away this game this afternoon. I think we've seen both sides show that they're capable of doing it at different parts of this game, but it'll come down to who is able to do it in this last bit.
Oh, and Carmen spending a little bit of time on ball rolling around quite a lot there.
Looks like she got a bit of a knock on the head, maybe.
Yeah, she's still bent over, so meanwhile the Cougars capitalise on that little lucky turnover.
Yeah, it was unfortunate to see the ball turned over because Cara wasn't well. Looks like she's being substituted.
Yes. It's probably just taking a moment to sort out what's going on here.
Oh, a bit of
yeah. Came into the back of Latumi foul.
So we see Ellie Bird rejoin the court for the Thunder. Ellie is here with us from New Zealand, having played out in the ANZ Championships over there.
Nice opportunity for her to get some and maintain her fitness and get some good game. Addie Hinchcliffe very lucky there to just ground her footing.
And equally the Thunder unlucky to get that turnover.
Lee Jones gets the rebound. So there, the Cougar girls not being able to capitalise on those goals, which we talked about, but another turnover here.
Yeah, great defensive pressure there. What you don't like to see teams do in this situation is freeze up. You want them to keep playing the way that they were playing in the first three quarters. Obviously easily said than done. But
absolutely. I was just going to say that. Oh, excellent contesting there by Lee Jones, and the crowd is thrilled with that. Of course, not having possession of the ball, so not taking a quick
height
replay.
advantage definitely helping her in that instance.
Bringing a smile to her face.
Yeah, it was great to see her smiling about it as well.
Oh,
don't like that, do you,
there.
Zach?
Oh, well, I think it did come out by the Cougars there, but...
Smart by both players there. Smart by Mia Valatu trying to play it off the post, which is legal.
Hinchcliffe saw it though. Ellie Bird unable to sink that goal, so...
Willing to have a turn and go to the post though, which is great for shooters to do. Great patience there by Chanel Dyer. Experienced campaigner for the Cougars, their captain.
So good defensive pressure here in the centre third. 3 or 4 passes it takes to get out of the centre third. So that defensive lineup seems to be working for the Cougars. Ellie Bird's height under that goal circle is a great beacon for the Thunder.
Definitely. It changes up that attack end a little bit. Kara's much more mobile. So the Cougars defenders now having to rethink about what they can do to try and stop Bird now that she's on.
This game seems to be getting quite competitive, I think, and very typical. Oh, and an unlucky replay ball there by Allen. Very typical of when games get close towards the end. The game starts to get a bit more physical, and as defenders get rebounds and hands to ball. So all players like to have a bit of a contest and try and...
They're willing to put everything on the line, aren't they, at this stage of the game?
It's good to see. Makes the game exciting.
Yeah.
Good for the crowd. Good for
Not
the
so great
viewers.
if you're a coach, but anyway.
Good hands by Latumi Foul. Just being able to hold on to the ball.
Oh,
But can't capitalise. Camo, unlucky. She had the ball, but just slipped out. Can't get over Hinchcliffe's arms there. Just trying to go around the post there, Latumi Foul. And an offensive contact using the knee.
they're just those little 1% mistakes that can cost the game, especially at this stage of the game and when it's this tight. But both teams, I think, have been guilty of that in these late stages of the game.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, the defensive pressure has been quite full on. So I think sometimes the attackers like to throw in an arm or an elbow or a knee and just see what happens and see if it catches the eye of the umpire.
Spoken like a true defender, Zach.
You always feel like you get the hard
Yeah.
end of the stick as a defender. What was your position when you were playing, Simone?
I was in the centre court, so I always it's a bit the same as you. I like to think we make the shooters look good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's right. If the feeders can feed into the shooters under the post, then that's always helpful. And we see Kyra Conan back on the court there, so she's shaking off her little knock to the head. And it's probably been that difference, that 3-goal. That's how the Cougars are out to that 3-goal difference now. Dyer not happy with that call.
It's only 3 the difference, like you said, but it's plenty of time for both teams, really.
Absolutely. And Thunder came back from 7.
Although when you have Tara Hinchcliffe on your team.
And miscommunication there by
Hunt and Holland. I think Hunt has to just keep backing herself and go to post. She's missed a couple, but it becomes quite predictable that Holland's the only shooter.
Yes. And you know that pass off is going to come as well. Latumi Foul doing a couple of rolls.
Her and Hinchcliffe are teammates. Hey.
All good in love and war.
Yeah.
And then having to mop up her own her own ball as well. She's a great attribute to any team, Latumi Foul. I love how she's always got a smile on her face. Great support of her teammates.
Definitely one of the characters of our game, but it's great to see her. Also spent time over in New Zealand playing in the ANZ Championship, so great to have her, Queensland Junior, so great to have her back here as part of the HART Sapphire series this year.
I know she invests time in her local community as well. Recently this week been at some netball clinics for some young players at the State Netball Centre as well. So
yeah, great.
So Bidin Hunt going to post and sinks the goal, which we need to see a bit more of from her. So 5 minutes almost on the clock here, and another caution by Litherland. That might be persistent contact on the edge of the circle there now. So she'll have to be careful. She's caught the eye of both umpires.
So what's next?
So from the caution, the umpires will move to a warning, and then after that it's 2 minutes on the bench. So of course you don't want to get to that. I mean, particularly Litherland's been a huge asset to this team, so she'll be trying to keep a little bit clean, which is going to be hard to do with the last 4 minutes because you also want to pick up those turnovers as well.
Definitely. You see Josie Hungerford return to the court for the Thunder in that wing attack.
Yeah, so she's spent a good part of 2.5 quarters on the bench, so... Oh, excellent hands over there by Hinchcliffe, but picked up by Latumi Foul.
Yeah.
And capitalised by Cullinan. So 1 goal in it. Yeah, what's going to be the difference here in the last few minutes, Simone?
I think the team that makes the most of their opportunities, but creates them defensively as well. I think the Cougars here will be wanting to obviously score this goal, whereas if the Thunder are able to pick up a turnover, then it brings them back into the game from a centre pass perspective, because it means they have the run of the centre pass.
Defenders can... great hands and pick up there by Maddie Hinchcliffe. It's one of her assets in the mid-court, definitely.
Definitely showing her sister what she can do.
She doesn't want to be outplayed here by any stretch of the imagination. And an unlucky penalty there by Annika Lee-Jones. Just getting caught a couple of times here, Lee-Jones, and so... both defenders out of play. Unable to sink the goal.
A lucky drop there for Hunt. In the right spot at the right time.
Probably just getting called the defenders down this end, so they need to be wary of that and stay in play as much as possible, not make it so easy for these shooters to run away with the game. And great settler by Binion Hunt.
Yeah, definitely. I think the Thunder defenders have shown that when they've applied the pressure, they've been able to win the ball back either through a turnover or through a missed shot.
So Thunder really looking to capitalise here.
It's that balance from being eager and trying to put themselves in every contest, but to also remain disciplined so they don't catch the eye of the defender, of the umpire, sorry.
Yes. Oh, and contact on the transverse line. Potentially 2 shooters in the circle. Allen's got a lot of work there to get back.
Did a very good job then to stop that direct pass into the goaler that was there.
Excellent rebound by Hunt.
A great lesson there for young goalers to follow their shot, because they may need to take their own rebound.
2.5 minutes remaining. Excellent little palm off there by Latumi Foul.
The Thunder are going to need to try and turn this ball over from the Cougars soon. They're running out of time now.
Yeah, they just need to be careful to ensure that they stay in play as well as much as possible. Opportunity. Out to 4 goals once again. Most important thing is Thunder score off their centre pass.
Yeah, it's one of those hard things when they've got to try and go as direct as possible because the time's not on their side, but at the same time they have to score the goal.
Yes, they don't want to give a turnover here. Cullinan having to come out of the court to relieve the pressure. Finds Latumi Foul underneath the post. Replay ball. So exactly what we just spoke about, that Thunder didn't want to happen. And fast transition down the court there by the Cougars.
It's out to 5 now with 1 minute to go. You probably back a Cougars win at this stage of the game. However, oh, that was close to 3.
So Thunder can take a lot away from this game, really. I mean, they showed their ability, their patience. It seems to be a quality of their gameplay. So,
no, definitely, they've more than showed that they're capable to match it with the Cougars today. They probably didn't help themselves by their start. However, to their credit, they've been able to fight back.
Yeah, it's probably one thing they'll be looking at to invest in is a good start early on in their game, so they don't let that lead blow out early on. And then that'll bring up time. So Cougars running away with a 7-goal victory.
Great game. We came into this last quarter with scores locked. So for the Cougars to run out by 7 goals is absolute credit to them. The Thunder, on the other hand, did a great job to fight back and get themselves into the game to be drawn coming into this last quarter. Oh, we didn't quite get the 17 for the last quarter.
Unlucky. 17-10. We could have had a nice even scoreline. But so Cougars will take 2 bonus points away there, and Thunder will take the 1. And of course 10 points for a win here for the Cougars as well, which is very valuable early on in the season.
Yeah, definitely. A great game by both teams. You can see Liz White, I think, the sigh of relief, knowing that with the start, we're having such a great start, and then allowing the opposition to come back. They were able to get most of their players on the court. We saw young Vivi Fitzpatrick take the court for a few minutes, which was great for her. And the Thunder got most of their players on the bench onto the court as well today.
Yeah. And as I said, with the shooting lineup, Binion Hunt and Riley Holland were able to play out the game in their shooting roles, so it's probably quite good for them to work through some of those challenges that they saw out there on the court today, and in the end, shooting the goals when it counted.
Definitely. The Thunder acknowledging their crowd for coming out and watching them on the first home game of the season here at the University of Sunshine Coast, a fantastic facility that we probably more used to seeing the Lightning run around on, but great to see the Thunder out here on court this afternoon.
So that wraps up round 3 for the Sapphire series today. Of course, 2 games being held at the Queensland State Netball Centre earlier today. Big wins there for the Jets and both the Tigers, and now joined with the Cougars as well.
Yes. So I think we'll wait to see the ladder later on. But I think what the competition so far has shown is that everybody is putting their hand up. There's no front runners as such. It's quite even across the competition, and even though the scores reflecting that they're quite close in margin. So if we have a look here at the stats from the game, what stands out to you most?
It's good to see that the Thunder picked up their centre pass conversion. I know that was very low earlier on, but I think that's probably still an area of improvement for them. It was only through a better second half that they've built that up. So they'll be looking to definitely improve that. Obviously their shooting percentage is higher, which is great to see. But with all those capable shooters in the circle, not a surprise as well. And we spoke about that. The Cougars probably need to have faith, the Cougars shooters, in just turning and going to post a little bit more as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that another stat that was just up there was the turnover conversion. So
yes,
when the Cougars actually turned the ball over, they were more likely to score, which again helped them with their end result. So if we have a look here at the competition ladder, the Brisbane North Cougars have jumped out to the front now on 40 points, with the Ipswich Jets in second. Carina Leagues Club Tigers only behind the Jets by by 1 point in third position, and the QT Wildcats on 27. However, had the bye this round, so didn't get any points for this round, but will be definitely back in round 4.
See there early on, obviously that's points up, definitely showing a difference and an important
one element of the competition, isn't it? It's just about the game result. The quarters matter as well. So there's just a wrap of round 3 and the results. So that's a wrap of today, isn't it, Zach? So thanks very much for joining me in commentary today up here at the University of Sunshine Coast.
It's been a pleasure. So hopefully we'll see you throughout the season.
You can go and put your legs up now after umpiring and commentating. So thanks very much for joining us this afternoon. We'll see you all in round 4.